What's up, y'all? Today we are going to do 7 quick crafts inspired by the McDonald's McRib. We made some printables to make our crafting a little easier. These are available on our blog, myfroggystuff.blogspot.com. But before we get started on these, let's work on some crafts that require a little drying time. Project number 1, a bun. For this craft, we are using some napkins. These came free with some takeout. Water is involved, so I'm using a protective surface. Ball up the napkin and place it in the water. Then squeeze off the excess. Begin forming it into a bun shape. I don't want this to be any longer than an inch. This is the rounded side of the bun, and I want a line going down the center. So I use a card to make an indentation. Take another piece of napkin, dip it in the water, then lay it on top. We're going to use this to smooth out our bun. Wrap it underneath and just work on it until it's got a nice finish. Kind of smooth, but not really. You want the texture. When I get it the way that I want it, I set it aside and allow it to dry. Use more napkin to make the other side of the bun. This one just has to be flat, but in the same oval shape. Let's wrap it with a little paper, just as before. Now we have both sides for the bun, and we just need to wait for them to dry. Once the top is dry, flip it over to dry the bottom. Take chalk pastels. I'm going to use this pale yellow right here and apply it to the paper. Now let's add a little bit of this mustard yellow right on the edges of that line we made. Then warm it with a little touch of brown. Let's just keep playing with those colors until we get the golden brown that we want. I carefully push pins into a scrap piece of foam board, place the buns on the pins, lightly brush them with a clear drying glue. These are just about dry. Now we need to make our sesame seeds. I'm using some tacky glue. Just need a little bit of that. Oops, on my cardboard. That was a little more than a little. Add a drop of white paint and a tiny drop of a golden yellow. Use a toothpick to mix it. I want a very soft pale yellow. Use the toothpick to take a little bit of the mixture and make a dot on the top of the bun. Make several. They're not as even as I would like, but the paint is not very forgiving, so once it's on there. Now that our bun is done, here is craft number 2. We printed our printable on cardstock. There is some extra paper around the edges. Use a paper cutter to cut thin strips. I cut 2 different widths. Stack and glue several together. I made the thinner strips a little thicker than the wider ones. Our bun is about a 1/2 inch wide, so I'm gonna cut the thinner strips a little over that. Then cut the wider strips at 1/2 inch. Line them up every other. Make adjustments where needed. I am thinning some of the pieces out just a little, then glue them together to create the foundation for ribs. I'm using my hot glue gun to add some texture. Now I don't want to add too much glue because I want to still see that detail between the high and low parts. Mix red and brown acrylic paint. Paint over the glue. Once it dries, add a little nail polish for shine to make mini ribs. Number 3, pickles. I take a glue stick and cut small slices with an X-Acto knife. I cut 4 push pens into foam board, then push the pen into the glue, giving us a stand to work on. Take green paint and mix it with a little white, then put small dots in the center of the circles. I put a little bit of Mod Podge on our palette. Let's mix a little green paint with the Mod Podge to tint it, then brush a thin layer over the glue stick. Put a little green paint on the brush, then paint just the edges, allow them to dry to make pickles. We need some onions. So let's take leftovers from that stacked cardstock and cut thin strips, give them a little curl, trim off the excess to make onions. Now we have everything we need to make our mini rib. Get it? Instead of a McRib, it's a mini rib. Place the rib on the bun first. Then let's add a few of the pickles, like one right there. I think in the photo it only had 2 pickles. So there we go. We got some pickles and we need a few onions, like 3. We might have to work on the placement. Don't know how aesthetically pleasing that is at the moment. And here is the top of the bun. Yeah, we gotta work on those onions. I cut the onions in half because they were way too long before. And then I put all 4 pickles on the sandwich so that you can see them coming out of the bun on both sides. And there, look at that. We get that nice little layering. I like. Everything is glued down except for the top bun. And I just used nail polish to glue everything in place. The mini rib is back for a limited time. Just joking. It's made of paper. It'll last for a while. Craft number 4, we need a box for our mini rib. Our printables are available on our blog, myfroggystuff.blogspot.com. Cut out the printable. Here is the top of the box. This is the bottom of the box. And we have the sides over here. All of these little triangles on the sides are tabs. So let's take the printable and make small cuts on the sides of the triangles. And I'm just cutting this side here and here. Then I turn it around and repeat on the other side. I printed this on cardstock so our box could have a little more support. Now we're going to fold on the lines. I'm gonna fold on the side lines right here, all these little tabs. Fold over the ends, fold over the triangles, and fold it in half. Once everything has been folded in, glue the triangle tabs underneath the sides. I'm using a glue stick, then push it onto the side, and I'm just gonna hold it until I'm sure it's dried. Then move on to the next one. Once all of the tabs have been glued down, we have a box for our mini rib. Place the sandwich inside the box, and it's ready for the drive-through. Craft number 5. I'm using white craft foam. I'm going to cut it into thin strips. I cut several, longer than I needed. Take out your chalk pastels. I'm using a light cream at first. Brush it onto the foam to tint it. Let's add a little deep yellow. Then take a little brown and very carefully just do the edges. There we go. That one looks good. Now we need to seal these. I'm using school glue because it gives a matte finish. I put a little glue on the brush and then I just tap it onto the foam. I don't drag it because I don't want the color to move. So we just tap it to try and reduce any smearing. I'm using this little bowl here from the dollar store as my drying rack. I just push the foam into the little holes and now it can dry. While waiting for it to dry, let's work on craft number 6. We need a box for our French fries, so let's cut out the printable, fold over the tabs, and I carefully bend the bottom to make a curve. Then we need to fold this center piece in half, make a crease. We have 2 tabs over here. One is larger than the other. Glue the smaller tab underneath the larger one, lining up the sides to make a box. Our fries are dry, so let's remove them. Place them in the box with the good side facing down. Trim off the excess, then turn it around to make a French fry in a box. Add more to fill it up. Now we have French fries to go with our mini rib. Fry yay! All day. Craft number 7, cut out the cup printable. I curl the paper with my fingers, then bend the ends so they overlap. Apply glue. Firmly press the ends together and hold it until it dries. Reshape the cup to make sure it's round. Cut leftover cardstock. Put hot glue around the edge of the bottom of the cup on the inside. I'm just putting it on the inside very carefully. Then place it onto the cardstock. Carefully fill the inside a little more than halfway with the glue. That is very hot and it's going to take a minute to dry because there is so much glue. Take another glue stick and cut it into small pieces. I'm cutting circles first, and then I cut each circle in half. Place them inside the cup to look like ice. I added a little Mod Podge to glue all of the ice together. Now you can tint the glue to look like different types of drinks using washable markers, but I'm gonna leave mine clear today because maybe it's like a lemon lime soda. Take a coated paper clip, unfold it, score the area that you want, carefully remove the coating, cut off a small section, and place it into the glue. Allow it to dry. Trim off the excess paper around the bottom to make a drink to go with our mini rib and fries. Thank you for joining us while we made some McDonald's inspired crafts featuring the McRib, which we are playfully calling the mini rib. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram at MyFroggyStuff and the Frog Vlog. And we will see you next time. Bye!